Hi there, Summoners! GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes. Tonight we've got the trailer pulled up for the next set of new heroes that are dropping into the game in just a couple of days. So I do suspect we're going to get Thjazi officially introduced into a banner. She's obviously been teased in the game thus far in the Tempest Trials. So I do expect her. Maybe we'll get another one of the limited hero types in addition to two regular units, because that seems to be kind of the standard at this point. So we got the trailer pulled up. Let's get started, watch it together raw for the first time, and react to who gets revealed. So what do we got? New heroes join the battle, and it is going to be... oh, Truth Beholden.
Something you deem simply coincidence.
Elffin. Got a Binding Blade representation here. Infantry Colorless Tome. Light of Etruria, Play, Cantrip, and I always think that says Catnip. Grants Hexblade to self and allies, does not succumb to lethal blows. Okay, so he's got miracle effects going on with him, in addition to being a dancer, or a refresher character. Okay. So this is probably going to show him tanking a hit and surviving. That Glacies. And retaliating. I wonder if he heals after. No. Okay. Ostia's new blade. So we have Ogier. Infantry sword unit. Let's see what we got. Doubler sword plus. Close call, speed res. So he's going to be... if I had to guess, he might be the 4-star focus unit of the banner. Not entirely sure about that, but seeming likely. Especially if they have two like unique limited heroes at the end, which could very, very easily happen. Okay, yep, Rearmed Heroes, who are getting... who is going to be the Rearmed Hero? Is this going... oh! Oh, it's Lilina. Rearmed Lilina, eh? I see. That's actually really beautiful art by Hotchan. So Infantry Green Tome unit. And she's got her typical AoE special, Arcane Truthfire. That's a long description. Gift for Magic, her unique special, of course. Occultist Strike, Sly Mirror. Attack Res Ploy, okay. Arcane Weapon eases activation of AoE specials. She can end foes in a flash. Probably, if I had to guess, also might have like a Hardy Bearing effect, since a lot of Lilinas tend to have them too. So that's interesting. And there she is, Ruthless Jotun. This is going to, in fact, be Thjazi. Armored Axe unit. Our muscle madam is here to make an impact. Arcane Giant Axe, Armored Blaze, Earthfire Boost, Brutal Ferocity, and Twin Save. So that's two Rearmed Heroes then. Interesting. Arcane Weapon Hasten Specials. Okay, Pathfinder as well, which seems to be kind of a Jotun ability, basically. Alright, interesting. Huh. I definitely want to take a closer look at the rearmed axe that she has, because I'm wondering if maybe that could be a nice choice for Camilla. Could be. Healing Heart, final story chapter. Wow, we're already there. The final story chapter. And here we are. Anything... who is that? Who is that? I don't know. Is that Milady? I'm not entirely sure. It kind of looked like her. So that is going to be starting on the 14th of November and going for approximately an entire month. Ogier isn't going to be the 4-star focus unit. Okay. So at least they didn't skip on the 4-star focus unit. I do like when they add those. I feel like in general, it's just nice to have lower rarities introduced to just spice up that pool a little bit. And it gave me a little bit of pause in the last banner where we didn't have any 4-star units at all. So that is kind of nice. And then again, anything else? Sometimes they throw in like another unit. I was just about... okay, Boars. Ostia's Bastion is also going to be appearing as a non-focus 3 and 4-star hero. So yeah, I was just going to say sometimes when they double up on the limited heroes, they just kind of like toss another unit at the end. It kind of feels like an afterthought a little bit, not going to lie, but at the same time, I'd rather they do that than than not. I'd rather they do that than just keep it to the limited units, you know. So the banner doubling up on the green, and honestly, green high value here. Both of the limited characters are actually going to be on green. That does make sniping green a very strong prospect on this banner. Out of the gate, not even looking at their kits. But yeah, Rearmed Lilina and Thjazi, these two on green, limited rearmed. So definitely have value as rearmed heroes and as limited heroes. Let's rewind. Let's take a closer look at the characters, one at a time. We're going to start things off with Elffin here, okay? And he is going to be a refresher, so effectively more of a utility-based unit. A Light of Etruria, he is going to be, this is going to be the colorless tome form. 14 might grants res plus 3. Start of player phase or enemies phase grants speed res plus 6 and Hexblade to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. Also, if any foes within 3 rows or 3 columns centered on unit have res less than the unit's res plus 5, inflict speed, attack speed minus 7, guard, and exposure on those foes through their next actions. That's a pretty wide range for a debuff, you know, the 3 rows and 3 columns. And if foe initiates combat, inflicts penalty on foes' attack and speed during combat equal to 6 plus 20% of units' res at the start of combat. And also, if unit's HP is greater than 1, and foe would reduce units foe. Okay, so the miracle effect, right? Yes. So his weapon is more or less like centered around debuffing the enemy and ensuring that they do, basically stunting them offensively, right? Because not only does he have the guard effect, the exposure effect, the debuff to their stats that are activated, there's also an in-combat debuff on their attack and speed as well that really does cripple their attacking power. In addition to him having a miracle effect, of course, which allows him to survive a hit when it would ultimately take him out. There's no real limit to that either, because it looks like once per combat, right? It does not stack. So as long as he continues to get more than 1 HP each time, he's always going to have that miracle effect available. Play for the assist grants another action, so that is the refresh. Plain and simple right there. Attack res cantrip 3 for the B slot. If Sing or Dance is used, inflicts attack res minus 7 and sabotage on foes in cardinal directions of unit and target through their next actions. That does kind of work cohesively with his weapon, I would say, just because with all of the other debuffs, that's just yet another activated penalty on the enemy with a similar range. Not exactly the same, it's cardinal directions, not the 3 rows and 3 columns, but still pretty nice, and not necessarily duplicative of the other effects that he has. Infantry null follow-up 4 for the C slot. At start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants null follow-up and the following status to a unit for 1 turn. A unit can move to a space adjacent to any ally within 2 spaces, and at start of turn, grants null follow-up to infantry allies within 2 spaces of units. So once again, really acting as sort of an all-around support, providing that ability, and also kind of serving as kind of a martyr, really. You know, he can just tank that hit if he needs to, if he's in harm's way, and also just effectively neutralize the enemy's ability to do a lot of damage. So that's an interesting archetype, and it's not outlandish, not outrageous in terms of his abilities, but does have utility, and the Hexblade itself is a kind of a unique niche that he is going to be able to fulfill, which I think is has its place. It's nice. So Ogier is going to be an infantry sword unit, and not only is he an infantry sword unit, he is the 4-star focus unit, so probably not expecting a whole heck of a lot out of him. What I will say is, no, he doesn't have a unique weapon either, so not really expecting much out of him. Again, inheritable weapons at this point, they're just not there. I mean, with the introduction of rearms and everything, there's really very, very little reason to use. In most cases, unless you're going for a very, very specific strategy, go for inheritable weapons. But let's take a look anyway. So Doubler Sword plus 14 might. At start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack defense plus 6 to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. It's okay, I guess. And if unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants to all stats plus X to unit during combat, where X is 4 plus the highest bonus on each of the stats. So it's okay. It's okay. It's basically just stat buffs, no other utility centered around it. Not terribly remarkable, I would say. Luna for the special, Speed Res Ideal 3, and Close Call 3 for the B slot. So he has some stepping stone skills. Quite frankly, not like stepping stone skills that I would consider to be amazing either. They're just kind of okay. Yeah, I don't know. this kit leaves, I would say, frankly, a lot to be desired. There's not a ton going for it, but if you are a fan of Ogier, he's going to be again a relatively easy merge project, which is nice. Again, he faces some pretty stiff competition from being an infantry sword unit as well. So there's a lot kind of going against him, unfortunately. But I will say again, it's nice to just kind of see these units represented and introduced into the game, right? All right. So the first of the rearms is Lilina here, infantry green Tomian. Again, the art by Hachan, that painterly style is just really gentle and gorgeous with the color work, the lighting, the shading. It's just really, really beautiful. And we can take a look at her kit here. So Arcane Truthfire is, of course, going to be a green tome. 14 might, range 2, killer slaying effect. I keep wanting to think it's a red tome, but no, it's a green tome. Start of turn, if unit's HP is at least 25%, grants attack plus 6, and the following status to unit for 1 turn. You can move to a space adjacent to any ally within 2 spaces. Okay, so she has some warp capability built in. If unit initiates combat with HP at least 25%, and unit has an area of effect special equipped, grants special cooldown count -1 to unit before special triggers before combat. Really? Okay. So she gets a special pre-charge before combat even begins. So it's not even a pre-charge as combat begins. It's actually before combat begins. Have we seen this before? Somebody will probably correct me in the comments, because I don't recall seeing this before, but I may have missed it at some point through all of these different character reveals. It sounds like something that Lilina would have. So I feel like if it did happen before, it would have been on a Lilina Refine or something like that I may have missed. But again, this is relatively unique. Obviously, this weapon is inheritable, so that's really potent. I mean, that's a really powerful thing for any character in any tome that would like to have an area of effect special. At start of combat, if unit has at least 25% HP, I mean, it's kind of nice because all of these are HP reliant, so she only has to worry about one thing, is staying healthy. Grants bonus to all stats equal to 25% of foes' attack at the start of combat -4. Max 14, min 5. So she could get up to 14 to all of her stats that scaling around her attack stat. Deals damage equal to 15% of unit's attack. There's just true damage built in there. That scales off of her attack, which is already going to be fairly high. Reduces damage from foes' first attack by 7 during combat, which would mean even with brave effects, like brave attacks. And also, if units attack can trigger unit special, excluding AoE specials, grant special cooldown count -1 to unit before unit's first attack during combat. Oh, okay. Alright, so I was just talking about the pre-charge as combat begins, so that's basically what this is. It's before her first attack, she'll also get a special charge if her special is one that activates during combat. So it's kind of, I mean, they kind of, in the phrasing and the description after of Lilina, they kind of made it sound like the weapon is really specialized for AoE specials, and it is. I mean, it does do a special effect for AoE specials, but even if you don't have an AoE special, it still does the pre-charge. It just does it at a different time. So, I don't know. I mean, it kind of takes some of the specialness out of it. I feel like if it had been specifically for AoE specials, that would have been really cool. But then they just kind of added it for regular specials too, which obviously increases the usability and the viability and the overall the compatibility of Truthfire, right? It can slap it on basically any red tome unit. But I personally feel like specialization breeds creativity and strategy and thought. So again, having a lot of sweeping conditions like that, makes it super, super easy to apply this. Anyway, it's very, very good. It's very, very strong, and it's going to be compatible with a lot of characters to be able to give that pre-charge in both scenarios. All of these effects, basically hard-hitting units. Hard-hitting, high-res, high-attack green mages. She is a green mage, right? Again, I keep forgetting. Yeah, she is a green mage. So, high-res, high-attack green mages are, may benefit from being able to inherit this. A gift for magic for the special, not assist. It's 2 cooldown, which you have a killer slaying effect, and remember, she's going to get that pre-charge. So because gift for magic is a 2 cooldown, it'll be a 1 cooldown, which means that in her first initiation, it will get that pre-charge, and she will proc that gift for magic right away. So before combat, this unit initiates foes in an area near the target. It will damage equal to unit's attack minus foes defense or res. Disables units or foe skills that change attack priority. So having, again, the Hardy Bearing effect, which is quite strong. If unit special is triggered before combat, reduces the percentage of foes non-special reduced damage by... Okay, so... Alright, so if special is triggered before combat, which it will, right? It has to, because that's just what the special is. It has damage reduction piercing built in, which is nice. And if unit or foe special is ready or triggered before or during this combat, reduces damage... okay, so it has damage reduction built in as well. So it's a stacked special. It's a stacked special. Very strong special. Sly Mirror for the A slot. If unit initiates combat, grants attack +8 and res +10 to unit. And unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack during combat. Also, if number of bonus effects active on unit are greater than or equal to 2, excluding stat bonuses, or if number of penalty effects active on foe are greater than or equal to 2, excluding stat penalties, unit deals +5 damage during combat. Okay. Including when dealing... Okay, including with AoE special. So it does work in tandem with Gift for Magic, which is nice. Occultist Strike. So that's the pre-damage, right? That's the pre-combat damage of 7 damage as foe as combat begins, and then inflicts speed res -4 on foe during combat. Deals damage equal to 20% of foe's res as well. Quite strong, so she is going to excel at just dealing a lot of damage as combat begins. The AoE special proc, you've got the Occultist Strike, and you got true damage built in to just bolster the AoE special, and then attack res ploy 3 for the C slot. Attack res -7, ploy, and exposure as those debuffs. So yeah, I mean, she's quite good, and that weapon is I feel like quite potent as well, especially like for something inheritable. It's going to work really well for her in particular. Of course, it works just perfectly with Gift for Magic and Sly Mirror and Occultist Strike. Really, there is a lot of synergy there in the kit, and I think she's going to hit super hard as far as AoE specials go. Arcane Weapon eases activation of her AoE special, so you can end foes in a flash on turn 1. Yeah, so she's going to get that insta-charge, she's going to be able to proc it right away, get that pre-combat damage, and then raining down the green flame. I like that it's green flame, so it's green flame for the green tome. That's kind of nice. And then again, Thjazi here from Jotunheimer is going to be an armored axe unit. Big, burly, muscular, chiseled features, toned, big hulking mass. I like that they're kind of exploring different body types. It's kind of cool. It's refreshing. I like the purple hair, and the purples and the blues and the yellows, the reds. It's just like got all these streaks of colors with the braids and everything. And altogether, she looks like a statuesque barbarian woman that's ready to just take on the world. Armor plating, the spikes. Has almost a gladiator kind of look to her as well, and that giant axe too. So I am curious to see again what her weapon does, because it is going to be inheritable as an arcane weapon. So Arcane Giant Axe, it has a killer slaying effect. At start of player phase or enemy phase, neutralizes panic and penalties on units attack and defense that take effect on unit at that time. Okay, that's always nice. If foe initiates combat, or if unit's HP is at least 25% at the start of combat, grants bonus to unit's stats equal to 25% of foe's attack. If foe initiates combat, or if unit's HP is at least 25% at the start of combat, grants bonus to unit stats equal to 25% of foe's attack at the start of combat -4, max 14, min 5, okay. Deals damage equal to 15% of unit's attack, okay, fixed damage there, including with AoE specials. Reduces damage from foes' attacks by 15% of unit's attack, including from AoE specials, excluding rocker effect, and grants special cooldown count -1 to unit before unit's first attack during combat. Okay, so it is actually kind of in line with Lilina here, except it's not necessarily for AoE specials, but she does get a pre-charge as part of the weapon, which is really useful. So obviously I'm kind of looking at this through the lens of whether or not Camilla would want to inherit this. Obviously that's very biased of me, but that's just how I think. So because of that, I don't think Camilla would really want this, because from a utility perspective, it doesn't provide that much. It has a lot of stat boosts and stat differentials, boosted damage and things like that, special cooldown effects, and that's really the utility of the axe. It's going to the killer slaying effect, the neutralization of penalties, which is quite nice for attack and defense specifically, and then you have the damage reduction, the stat boosts, the damage boosts, and effectively the pre-charge, so the charge as before the unit's first attack, which is nice. Like, so those two things in tandem can be pretty darn nice to have. And I think it'll probably work very, very well, in particular for a character like her that is going to be a savior unit. Armored Blaze for the special, boost damage by 40% of unit's defense with special triggers, of course. And reduces damage from foes next attack by 40%. Yep. Earthfire boost 3, HP plus 5. At start of combat, if unit's HP is at least 50%, grants attack defense plus 7 to unit during combat. And also, if unit is within 2 space of an ally with HP of at least 50%, inflicts special cooldown charge -1 on foe per attack during combat. So that guard effect is going to be quite nice for her survivability as well. Brutal Ferocity for the B slot. Effect Pathfinder, which again appears to be kind of the Jotunheimer thing. At start of turn, and after unit acts, if Kanto triggers after Kanto, inflicts attack defense -7 and gravity on foes in cardinal directions unit with HP less than unit's max HP through their next actions. Okay. So casting gravity in cardinal directions after the action. See, so that's nice. And you can be strategic with it too. It's not like 3 rows and 3 columns, right? And it's gonna influence your placement of her, wherever you place her. So it's after a unit acts, so she can't just move to a spot and inflict the gravity. She has to perform an action, right? So like she has to either attack or after the Kanto and move to a location in order to inflict the gravity, or assist, like reposition, or whatever, what have you. So she can't just move around and be like a chess piece that in cardinal directions casts gravity. Instead, it's going to be like she has to have an action, right? If foe I think anyway, I might be misreading that. If foe initiates combat or a unit has at least 25% HP at the start of combat, inflicts penalty on foes attack and defense equal to 5 plus units max HP minus foes HP at start of combat. Min 8, max 18. Unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. Neutralize effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X, so neutralizes guard. And it reduces the percentage of foes... so damage reduction piercing as well. So a lot of the stuff that I would have wanted baked into the weapon is actually part of her B slot. So that is great for her. I mean, these are things that she's really going to want, that she really needed, kind of, because her weapon did not have these things. And I think... in addition to the gravity effect, which is pretty unique, and Pathfinder, which is incredible utility as well, there's also these other elements, the guaranteed follow-up attack, the damage reduction piercing. Those are really big elements here, in addition to the penalty on the enemy's attack and defense. Those are all really key things in improving her survivability and making sure that, the enemy is more or less dinging against her when she is enemy phasing, because she wants to enemy phase, because she is going to be a save unit. So C slot, attack, defense, twin, and save. If it was with range of 1, initiates against an ally within 2 spaces of unit, triggers savior on unit. If foe's range is 1, grants attack defense plus 4 to unit during combat. Any reduces damage by X% effects that can be triggered only once per combat by unit's equipped special skill can be triggered up to twice per combat. So that's going to work very well for her. And restores 7 HP to unit when unit deals damage to foe during combat. The HP healing afterwards is very, very strong, very helpful for savior units. It's going to work really well to further reduce the enemy's ability to do damage in any capacity. She's going to be a tank. She really is going to be a tank. In terms of what she does overall, I mean, I think what separates her, it makes her a unique unit. Obviously, just being rearmed in general has that added utility of being able to inherit her weapon while being able to use her as a unit going forward. She's going to work as a save unit very, very well. She's got all of kind of like the key things that you would need, more or less. There's not like a ton that's missing. Again, she's got the guaranteed follow-up attack. She's got the damage reduction piercing. Got the damage reduction as well, stacking on multiple ways, stat reduction. Yeah, and effectively, like, lots of things are in that arena. I would say the kind of unique element to her kit and what she gives is that gravity, right? The gravity and the Pathfinder are kind of like the nice elements to her that, aside from being just like a solid save unit, I suppose. And then the pre-charge. The pre-charge is very, very nice as well. So that's kind of like what sets her apart, I would say, as a unit. Weapon is quite nice as well. Arcane weapon hastens specials, obstructs foes' movement after acting, supports allies with Pathfinder. Yep, exactly like what we were saying. So there we go. There we go. That is going to be Thjazi just slamming back and healing with both of those attacks. Quite powerful. So once again, starting on the 14th of November and going for approximately 30 days, we've got Rearmed Thjazi and Rearmed Lilina. So 2 Rearmed heroes on green. That does make this a very high value banner, at least in terms of sniping on green. The odds of getting one or both of them is quite high when you're sniping on green. You're able to save orbs by doing so if you're not interested in the other two. Because frankly, the other two, even for the pedigree of kind of new heroes that we've gotten recently, aren't really that remarkable. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's normal. In fact, I kind of wish we got less remarkable characters. It's a weird thing to say, but I kind of wish we had more of kind of like the standard ebb and flow characters more often in the game, because I feel like the way things are going are kind of they're not really sustainable. The 2 green heroes, they got a lot to offer. Again, being rearmed, their weapons seem really, really useful for certain archetypes. Lilina in particular, and you just slapped on any red tome unit that has high res, and they're gonna do very, very well with it. So I think that green is a mighty strong prospect here. I don't know if I'm going to summon on this or not. I'm a little torn. Maybe. Now, one thing to consider is that we are going to be getting, I think, the the special hero banner for December. Obviously, when that rolls around next month, they're going to be the Christmas units, and I mean, the Christmas units tend to be pretty strong. Usually, with the Christmas units, we also get, I think, 4 sparks. Usually, and usually 4 sparks for everybody, not just FEH users. So something to consider. They're usually popular characters. They usually have that kind of gift of multiple sparks, and they tend to be pretty strong. I mean, especially in the case of last year, I would argue that last year Christmas ushered in like this new age of absurd power design. Last year was when we got the house leaders as Christmas units, and they were absolutely absurd. And then it just was a constant just a rocket ship upwards in terms of, from that point forward, everything that released was ridiculous. So I don't know. We'll see if it continues this year as well in terms of the Christmas units. But regardless, that banner is probably going to be pretty high value as well. So just bear that in mind. It's around the corner. Yeah, but let me know down below if you're excited for Rearmed Lilina and Rearmed Thjazi. If you're going to be summoning on this banner, best of luck to you. Let me know who you're going to be going for. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting down below, subscribing to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, let's protect those skies.